coaches with the most pressure headed into 2025. Let's talk on the coaching side of things. Everybody picked one coach. Give us your details. Why do they have pressure? It could be a team expected at the top. Could be a team that's maybe coaching for their job or a guy that's coaching for their job. What did you have? Let's go to JP first.
I'm muted. But I have Sam Pittman. I think that it's not just a Sam Pittman thing, though. I think it is a program under pressure in a lot of spots, right? The ball is kind of rolling downhill right now. You have to find a way to stop it, push this thing back to the peak where it can be. Like we saw such a good 2021 year where this was like, okay, here we go. Like got a real shot here. 2022 kind of fell off. I think that was more bounce of ball almost. Things didn't go the way. 23 was what it was. 24 it was what it was. And then you go into 25 and the expectation is that it's 4-5 wins at best, right? A really tough schedule and a really depleted roster from the portal in some spots. So I kind of worry if like as well liked as Pittman is Petrino just kind of waiting in the wings and becoming the favorite son of that place, like hoping that he gets that job in some spots like that. That'd be a hard guy to hire.
I'd hope Arkansas fans are smarter than that, than to trust that guy be the leader of your program.
They saw the bump when he got the OC job, put him back in the head honcho seat, right? Oh. I don't know. I think the pressure's on him, but the expectation also isn't super high on him. So maybe there's a shot that he can stunt some people, get to 6 wins, and keep his job. But I feel like there's more of an expectation that like it's just waiting. It's a waiting game at this point.
I'll bring it back up just because the team is on topic. But like in the SEC show, we did get to look at Arkansas for just a small bit and had talked to Sam Pittman. And obviously, yeah, they made it very clear he's a nice guy and fun to work for. But like, it seemed like he was so far hands off of whatever he was doing. So his assistants are very important. I don't think it's crazy to say maybe after viewing that, even the fan base would value the assistants more. I mean, he just looked like he was sitting in his golf cart for majority of the practice that they were showing. So I don't think it's a crazy take. What about you, Jake? What do you think on Sam Pittman this year? I know we all got a little Hogs fandom in us.
Yeah, 100%. And I do root for Sam Pittman. And JP made a good point. Like, is it more Sam Pittman that has the pressure, or is it the program? Because I'd argue like, how many more years does Pittman really even have left if they do win 7 games? Like, is he just going out on top like that? If they can find 7 wins in the schedule
every offseason.
Yeah. The portal stuff is a nightmare. Like, listen to these guys on their defense. And so they lose all their guys basically to Ole Miss and wherever else. And they pick up guys from Maine, Troy, Southern Utah, Abilene Christian. Like, you're filling up your SEC roster with like second team All-American FCS guys. Not to say some of those guys aren't worth value, but you would much rather keep your guys on your roster that you originally had, and they lost some good pieces. So get to 6 wins and just retire. Like I think that's should be the goal because everybody loves him, and we want to see him go out on top. Beat Missouri, beat Missouri your last game of the year, and I think people beloved Sam Pittman in Fayetteville.
Clip A&M, and you might get a statue.
Yeah, there you go.
He
had some brutal A&M losses.
He did have a big win last year, though, late. I mean, they did have an upset win, so maybe just a couple plays like that, but a bowl game would be huge for the Hogs. Let's go on to Reese. Reese, give us your coach under pressure this year and tell us why.
This year I went with the guy, Brent Venables. I just think you're looking at 2 out of his first 3 years. You're winning 6 games compared to Lincoln Riley when they had this roster. You're having Heisman quarterbacks. You're going to the college football playoff. This is a program that is used to winning. They're used to being in the spotlight. They're used to being there at the end of the year. And last year, you go and lose a bowl game to a Service Academy. Go Army beat Navy. They lost to Navy last year. But it's just a spot where it kind of a similar idea where this is just it's pressure from the program too. Where this guy comes over from Clemson, where he won some national titles. Where the question is now is he the guy to be a head coach, or is he just a really good coordinator too? Because like there's no shame in that. And also, you get a quarterback. You bring over the OC too. So you're not just putting a quarterback in a new system, but he's coming with the system. So like all the things have got to hit. You're getting guys portal wise, you're getting the hits that you need. Like, I just think everything's lining up for this to be a successful season for him. And if it doesn't, I just think OU and this fan base is not going to be very happy, and it's going to heat up. I mean, for him I think he has a job at the end of the year, but like it can heat up if it just doesn't go well this year to start off, I think.
I think you nailed it because you talk about the guys they're bringing in, not only John Mateer, but also Jay Knott. You look at In the backfield, they spent some money. They went out and he did the recruiting thing, which is not in Clemson style. So when you do that at your own space and you invest some money into the program, the pressure just increases. So he definitely belongs on this list. JP, your thoughts on Venables? I like Brett Venables, by the way.
I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma's one that we'll get to later in the show, but it's definitely under pressure. Like if it's not, I still think it's got to be above expectation in some spots to like make the fan base feel completely right. I think hitting the expectation or going over the win total, I still think keeps his job and he gives him another year. But I think like the fan base will still have a ton of questions and still want to be, raising their fist a little bit in anger.
All right, Jake, give us your coach under pressure. Change the page for us.
Yeah, when I'm usually the one to put the notes together, so I usually get first crack at who I get to pick, and I've gone pretty chalk the last couple of weeks, but it's so obvious. It's Brian Kelly, and you can't miss 12-team playoffs at LSU. That's just unacceptable. This is a program that fired their head coach 2 years after winning a national championship. So
not a very likable guy either. I think he gets pressure.
I'm not going to bring up that show again. He drove me nuts in that show. He was annoying as all shit. And you see the success that Marcus Freeman is having at Notre Dame, and that is making it 10 times worse because Kelly left because quote unquote, you can't recruit at Notre Dame. Well, Marcus Freeman is showing that, and they're better than you right now. And they're looking like the trajectory for them is far greater than what LSU is in right now. And I just don't know what would have happened if Nuss didn't stay. Like, how much money do you think they paid him? Because, I mean, Michael Van Buren sitting there in the wings, but you lose Bryce Underwood in the recruiting battle. And getting Nuss might have been a job saver for Kelly at this point. We'll see. I think it's another 9-3, 8-4 season. It's just a matter of how does it shake out, and does that get them in the playoff? We'll have to wait and see. But I do not see 10 wins on this schedule for LSU, and I think that's just not good enough at LSU.
I think it's a fair point to make. I mean, it's a fan base with high expectations and a little bit deeper pockets down there in Louisiana than I think most people realize, especially within the game of football. And it adds pressure when you start investing in the program like some of these teams are. It adds pressure not only just the head coaching position, but from the top down, especially with the donors and their pockets being the ones that are emptied. Reese, any thoughts on Brian Kelly yourself?
I think Shaver put it perfectly. 12-team playoff at LSU. Like, you don't miss that. Like, you are a beacon for college football. Like, kids want to come play for you just because of the name. Like, there is no way that you should be missing, especially with the quarterback you have, the weapons you can bring in year after year, the money you have year after year. Yeah, he's just, I think this guy's equal with like a James Franklin where he gets the big ones and just can't win it. So it's like you just equate them, I think, the same, honestly, in college football. And we put all this pressure on James Franklin to do the same thing every year, and it just never happens. So I think same thing for Brian Kelly.
All right, there it is. Those are our 4 coaches under pressure. Did I give mine?
No, I was like, what? I was going to ask.
3. Here we go.
First time in 9 months we've done a show with 4 people on it.
We're back.
A little bit of slack, a little bit of break. I got to work myself back in. My choice, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, and it's not because the preseason expectations aren't there. They didn't recruit well. It's simply because you still have a fan base that has the recency bias enough to remember the Nick Saban days. Like, that is still the expectation of this program. You missed the playoff last year. You drop a game to a below average Michigan team or an underperforming Michigan team in the bowl game. You lose out on quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe and some guys on the outside. You do bring it. Ryan Williams is still there. It's a huge retention piece. But I think it's college football playoff, or this fan base is going to get real pissed and real mad real quick. And all of a sudden, instead of saying you're under pressure, next year we're saying you're coaching for your job just because of the place you're at. So that's where I'd put Kalen DeBoer. I think they've got to get into the college football playoff to keep the fans off his back and lower that pressure gauge just a little bit, just because of the expectations of the program. Jake, what do you think on DeBoer?
Yeah, I think him and Kelly are kind of in the same boat where we've seen more of, a couple more years of Kelly. Right. So I think the patience is loosening, but you got to make playoffs, 12-team playoffs at Alabama. I give him a little grace because I thought, honestly, for the most part, outside of the Vandy game, I thought Alabama had a decent year. and I think there was pieces
They
there. And
lose
there's
to Oklahoma.
but you
I mean, they
saw
had
the
some weird losses.
They did. You're right. And they didn't have like that kind of like that kill factor. And we'll see if that carries over. And from all the camp and off-season talk, apparently that was the point of emphasis. It's like you come to play at Alabama, you better be ready to play at Alabama. So maybe they're weeding some of those guys out that maybe just stayed for Saban. So we'll have to see there. I got to see a year 2 product. Whereas like Kelly, it's like your recruiting's getting worse. And we've now the off the field stuff is like, it's kind of getting out of control. So I give him more grace than Brian Kelly does. Can I ask?
Not
are
the,
you gonna?
Go
can
ahead.
I ask something? I'm curious. Is Jeff Levy under pressure?
I hope not.
I don't
Like,
know. I don't know the
if they don't-
expectation over there,
The guy
right?
played the
do you
whole
fire-
thing, man.
Feeling.
Do you fire him if they don't win an SEC game this year? Because
No.
it would be what 20 straight SEC.
That would be the
22
biggest
losses?
slap in the face of all time because you have given that guy no chance, right? He's done it by himself. He's flipped the entire roster. They've put no money into him. They just kind of look like they're cashing checks in a lot of spots. It would be asinine. I don't know what the fan base expects of him. He's doing everything he can with what he has.
Basically, you would just be hitting the reset button until you found your Signetti. That would be
because
my
I say
impression of what
Deion
their attempt is.
and
but Signetti's
Signetti
got
have
money to
ruined the
spend.
sport, or ruined coaching, I should say. Like as far as like the expectation of coaches, they haven't ruined coaching. They're great for the sport, but you know what I mean. Like the
Right.
fan base's expectations have just gone out of control thanks to those guys.
Yeah, going back to
Also just
DeBoer,
makes
he'll
that
have
spot
to.
less desirable.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Like DeBoer's going to have to move mountains and conquer the Aztec Empire to make that fan base happy.
That's
at some point.
also true.
You're taking over for the best of all time, and then you're like immediately like not expecting any drop off or any change. It's an unreasonable expectation to him. Not that he can't, get to that point where they're really good and winning national titles again, but to expect it immediately is a little ridiculous in my opinion.
And there's a
Especially
couple
now,
more.
well, the
There's a
playoffs.
couple more weird
Yeah.
spots on that schedule too. Florida State to kick it off week 3. You bring Wisconsin in. Not that should be a problem for Alabama and what they have on paper versus Wisconsin, but God knows you lost in some weird spots last year, so it could get ugly really quick in Tuscaloosa for DeBoer. So that's why I have him on my list.